Picture this. You got a raise, a significant one, and for about 2 weeks, you felt it. You felt like you were finally getting ahead, like the pressure was easing, like this was the moment things would change. Then, your bank account went right back to feeling exactly the same. Tight, insufficient, like you're running on a treadmill that someone keeps quietly increasing the speed on while you're not looking. And the most frustrating part? You can't even explain where the money goes. You're not buying yachts. You're not gambling it away. You're just living, paying rent, buying groceries, filling up your car, maybe going out to dinner once a week. Normal stuff. And yet, every single month, you end up in the same place, staring at your checking account balance, wondering how it's possible that someone earning what you earn still feels broke. You're not alone. According to a 2024 survey from Bankrate, 59% of American adults, including households earning over $100,000 a year, report feeling financially stressed. Not financially ruined, financially stressed. People who, on paper, should be comfortable. People whose parents would have considered their income life-changing, and they're lying awake at night doing mental math about whether they can afford new tires. Something is structurally wrong with how we experience money, and it's not what you think. It's not inflation, although that's real. It's not taxes, although those hurt. It's not even lifestyle creep, although we'll get there. The real reason your paycheck never feels like enough lives inside your skull. It's a collection of psychological mechanisms, cognitive biases, and neurological patterns that were never designed for modern financial life. And until you understand them, no raise, no promotion, no side hustle will ever make the feeling go away. You'll just earn more and feel the same. Stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't another lecture about budgeting or cutting out lattes. It's the actual neuroscience and behavioral economics behind why your brain is systematically working against your financial satisfaction. And more importantly, how to rewire the whole system so your money finally starts feeling like enough. Let's start with the mechanism that's doing the most damage, and it's one you've probably never heard named explicitly: hedonic adaptation. This is the single most important concept in the psychology of money that almost nobody talks about. Hedonic adaptation is your brain's built-in tendency to return to a baseline level of satisfaction, regardless of positive changes in your circumstances. It's the psychological equivalent of a thermostat. No matter how high you crank the heat, the system adjusts and brings you back to the same temperature. Research from Princeton University found that emotional well-being increases with income only up to about $75,000 per year in their original study, later updated to around $100,000 when adjusted for inflation and regional cost differences. Beyond that threshold, more money produces diminishing returns on how you actually feel day to day. Not zero returns, diminishing ones. The jump from $40,000 to $80,000 feels transformative. The jump from $120,000 to $160,000 feels like almost nothing. But here's where it gets cruel. Your brain adapts to the higher income within weeks. A landmark study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology tracked lottery winners and found that within 12 months, the reported happiness levels returned almost entirely to pre-winning baselines. They had more money, they had objectively easier lives, and they felt the same. This is what's happening to your paycheck. Every raise, every bonus, every new income stream gets absorbed into your new normal almost immediately. Your brain recalibrates. What felt like abundance 2 weeks ago now feels like baseline. And baseline always feels like not quite enough, because your brain isn't designed to feel satisfied. It's designed to keep you striving. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. An ancestor who felt permanently satisfied with their food supply would stop hunting. They'd get complacent. They'd die. Your brain learned that contentment is dangerous and restlessness is survival. That wiring served you beautifully on the savannah. It's destroying you at the bank. Now layer on the second mechanism, social comparison. Your brain doesn't evaluate your financial situation in a vacuum. It evaluates it relative to the people around you. And this isn't a character flaw, it's hardwired neurology. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that people's reported life satisfaction is more strongly predicted by their relative income, how they compare to peers, than by their absolute income. A household earning $80,000 in a neighborhood where the average is $60,000 reports higher satisfaction than a household earning $120,000 in a neighborhood where the average is $200,000. Read that again. The family earning less money actually feels richer because of context. This is called reference group theory, and it explains why your paycheck never feels like enough no matter what the number is. Because the number doesn't matter. What matters is the number compared to the people you're unconsciously measuring yourself against. And here's the part that makes this exponentially worse in 2025 than it was in 1995. Your reference group used to be your neighbors, your coworkers, your extended family, a manageable, visible group of maybe 50 to 100 people. Now your reference group is everyone on the internet. You're not comparing yourself to the guy next door with a slightly newer car. You're comparing yourself to influencers showing you their Dubai vacations, their investment portfolios, their morning routines in apartments that cost $8,000 a month. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that increased social media use is directly correlated with decreased financial satisfaction, even when controlling for actual income levels. You could be in the top 10% of earners and still feel behind because your phone shows you the top 0.1% every single day. Your brain processes those images as social reality. It updates your reference group automatically, and suddenly, your perfectly reasonable salary feels inadequate because you're unconsciously benchmarking against a lifestyle that was never achievable and was probably financed with debt anyway. Now, let's talk about the third mechanism, because this is the one that actually drains your bank account. Lifestyle creep. And not the obvious kind. Not the sports car or the mansion upgrade. The invisible kind. The kind that happens so gradually you can't even point to when it started. Behavioral economists at the University of Chicago documented what they call expenditure cascading. When the top income earners increase their spending, it shifts expectations downward through every income level. The rich build bigger houses. The upper middle class builds slightly bigger houses to keep pace. The middle class stretches for houses they can barely afford because the standards shifted, and everyone ends up spending more without feeling like they're spending more because the baseline moved. This happens at every scale of your personal life. You used to buy the store brand pasta sauce. Then you started buying the $7 jar because you could afford it. Then you started buying the $12 organic imported jar because the $7 one felt like the cheap option now. None of these individual upgrades feel extravagant. Each one feels like a reasonable, modest improvement, but compounded across every category of spending: groceries, clothing, dining, subscriptions, personal care, home goods. You're spending hundreds more per month than you were 2 years ago on things you barely notice. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that households in the top 40% of income earners spend an average of 92% of their after-tax income. Not because they're irresponsible, because their spending expanded to fill the available space like a gas in a container. And the most insidious part? Each upgrade becomes the new floor. You can't go back to the store brand pasta sauce without it feeling like a downgrade, like you're losing something, like you're going backward. Research from the Journal of Consumer Research calls this the endowment effect applied to lifestyle. Once you've experienced a certain standard of living, your brain treats it as a possession. Giving it up triggers loss aversion, the same pain response you'd feel from actually losing money. So your paycheck grows, your spending grows to match, and your brain files the new spending level as the minimum acceptable standard. You're making more money than ever, and it feels exactly the same as before because it is exactly the same. The gap between income and spending hasn't changed. You just moved the whole equation up. Now here's the fourth mechanism, and this one operates below conscious awareness: present bias. Your brain systematically overvalues the present and undervalues the future. $1 today feels worth dramatically more than $1 in 10 years, even though rationally you know that's not true. Neuroscience research from Princeton using functional MRI scans found that immediate rewards activate the limbic system, the emotional, impulsive part of your brain. Delayed rewards activate the prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part. And when these two systems compete, the limbic system usually wins, not because you're weak, because that's the default wiring. This is why your paycheck feels insufficient. The money that should be going to future you, to savings, to investments, to retirement, doesn't feel like it's yours. It feels like money being taken away from present you and given to some abstract stranger who happens to have your name. Your brain doesn't viscerally connect with the person you'll be in 20 years. It connects with the person who's tired right now and wants to order delivery instead of cooking. Research from Stanford's Virtual Human Interaction Lab showed that when people interacted with digitally aged versions of themselves, their savings rates increased significantly because suddenly, future self wasn't abstract anymore. Future self was a person with a face, and that person needed money. But without that intervention, your brain defaults to prioritizing now. And every dollar spent on now is a dollar your paycheck can't stretch to cover the future. So the paycheck feels insufficient, not because it is, but because your brain is allocating almost all of it to the present and leaving nothing for the part of your life that actually needs funding. The fifth mechanism ties all of this together: financial amnesia. Most people have almost no accurate memory of what they actually spend money on. Research from the University of Cambridge found that people underestimate their monthly discretionary spending by an average of 30 to 40%. You think you spent $400 on eating out. You actually spent $620. You think your subscriptions total $50 a month. They actually total $130. You think you're saving 10% of your income. It's actually closer to 3%. This isn't lying. It's how memory works. Your brain doesn't store financial transactions with the same emotional weight as other experiences. A $15 lunch gets processed, enjoyed, and forgotten within hours. A $12 subscription renews silently. A $40 impulse buy on Amazon arrives, gets used once, and fades into the background noise of your life. But all of those forgotten expenses add up to hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars per month that your brain simply doesn't track. And when you look at your bank balance at the end of the month and wonder where everything went, the answer is it went to things you literally can't remember buying. Your paycheck feels insufficient because you're experiencing all the spending without retaining the memory of it. You got the dopamine hit when you bought it. The hit faded, the money's gone, and your brain's accounting doesn't balance because it's missing half the transactions. So, let me put all 5 mechanisms together because this is the picture nobody paints for you. You get a raise. Hedonic adaptation absorbs it within weeks. Social comparison immediately recalibrates your expectations upward based on what you see online. Lifestyle creep expands your spending to fill the new income. Present bias ensures almost none of the increase goes to your future self. And financial amnesia erases the evidence of where it all went. The result? You earn more. You spend more. You save the same negligible amount. And you feel exactly as financially stressed as you did before the raise. It's not a mystery, it's a system, a perfectly designed psychological trap that operates below conscious awareness and resets every time your income changes. Now, let's talk about how to escape it, because understanding the trap is step 1, but you need actual mechanisms to override these patterns, and they have to work with your brain, not against it, because willpower is not a strategy. Escape mechanism 1. Automate the raise. Every time your income increases, whether it's a raise, a bonus, a new job, a side hustle payment, automatically redirect at least 50% of the increase to savings or investments before it hits your checking account. Not after, before. The psychology here is critical. If the money never enters your spending account, your brain never registers it as available. You can't adapt to income you never experienced. You can't lifestyle creep on money you never saw. Research from Brigham Young University found that people who automated savings increases reported zero change in perceived quality of life despite saving significantly more. Their brains simply never adjusted to the higher spending level because there was no higher spending level to adjust to. The operational move is this. The week you get a raise, log into your payroll system and increase your retirement contribution or set up an automatic transfer to a savings account for the exact amount of the raise, minus whatever tax adjustment applies. Do it immediately. Do it before you have time to mentally spend it, because once your brain allocates that money to lifestyle, the endowment effect kicks in, and taking it back feels like punishment. Escape mechanism 2. Curate your reference group ruthlessly. Your brain is going to compare. You can't stop that. It's neurological, but you can control who you're comparing to. Unfollow every account that makes you feel financially inadequate. Every influencer showing you a lifestyle funded by brand deals and debt. Every friend whose posts are essentially consumption highlight reels. Replace them with people who normalize the financial reality you're actually living. Research from the University of Michigan found that people who curated their social media feeds to include more realistic financial content reported significantly higher financial satisfaction within just 8 weeks. Not because their income changed, because their reference group changed. And extend this offline. The research on reference groups is clear. The 5 people you spend the most time with have an outsized influence on your spending patterns. If your social circle normalizes expensive dinners, frequent travel, and constant upgrades, your brain will classify those as baseline expectations regardless of your income. Spending time with people whose lifestyle doesn't revolve around consumption isn't about being cheap. It's about protecting your financial psychology from comparison drift. Escape Mechanism 3. Create a lifestyle ceiling. This is the move that separates people who build wealth from people who earn a lot but have nothing to show for it. You pick a lifestyle spending level and you cap it permanently. Decide what annual spending level would make you comfortable. Not lavish, not deprived, comfortable. Then commit to holding that number regardless of how your income grows. Every dollar above that ceiling goes directly to savings, investments, or debt elimination. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that the strongest predictor of wealth accumulation isn't income level. It's the gap between income and spending maintained over time. A household earning $80,000 spending $55,000 will build more wealth than a household earning $200,000 spending $195,000. The math is merciless. And here's the psychological benefit. When you have a ceiling, lifestyle creep has nowhere to go. Your brain stops scanning for upgrades because the constraint is predefined. You've made the decision once, instead of making it every day. And that single decision saves you from thousands of micro decisions where your limbic system would otherwise win. Escape Mechanism 4. Make your future self real. Remember the Stanford research on aged avatars? You need to create a visceral connection to your future self. Write a letter from 65-year-old you to present you. Describe what your life looks like with adequate savings versus without. Use an aging app to see your face at retirement age. Put that photo somewhere you'll see it daily. This sounds gimmicky, I know, but the research is unambiguous. People who maintain strong psychological connections to their future selves save more, spend less impulsively, and report higher long-term financial satisfaction. Your brain needs future you to feel real, not abstract, not hypothetical, real. Because when future you is a real person in your mind, spending money today feels like stealing from someone you care about, instead of optimizing for someone who doesn't exist yet. Escape Mechanism 5. Track everything for 90 days. Kill the financial amnesia. For the next 90 days, log every single purchase, every coffee, every subscription, every impulse buy, every bill. Use an app, use a spreadsheet, use a notebook. The mechanism doesn't matter. What matters is making the invisible visible. Research from the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that the simple act of tracking, without any pressure to change behavior, reduced spending by an average of 15% within 3 months. Your brain starts self-correcting once it has accurate data. You'll discover spending patterns you didn't know existed. You'll find subscriptions you forgot about. You'll see that your random Amazon purchases add up to a car payment every month. And after 90 days, you won't need to track everything forever. Your brain will have recalibrated its financial awareness. The amnesia fades because you've trained your attention to notice what it was previously ignoring. Escape Mechanism 6. Redefine enough. This is the deepest one, and it's the one that actually resolves the problem at its root, instead of just managing the symptoms. Your paycheck doesn't feel like enough because you've never defined what enough actually means. Without a clear, specific, written definition of enough, your brain defaults to more. More is always the answer when there's no finish line. More money, more stuff, more experiences, more security. And more is a destination you never arrive at. Research from the University of British Columbia found that people who articulated specific financial goals and defined a concrete vision of financial sufficiency reported dramatically higher satisfaction with their current income. Not because they earned more, because they knew what they were aiming for. And knowing what enough looks like means you can actually recognize when you've arrived. Sit down and define it. What does your life look like when money is no longer a source of stress? What's the monthly income number? What's the savings number? What's the lifestyle? Be specific. Write it down. Because once enough has a definition, your brain can stop chasing an undefined more and start working towards something achievable. Here's what all of this comes down to. Your paycheck doesn't feel like enough because your brain was never designed to feel like anything is enough. Hedonic adaptation resets your satisfaction. Social comparison moves the goalposts. Lifestyle creep absorbs every gain. Present bias steals from your future. And financial amnesia erases the evidence. These aren't character flaws. They're operating system defaults. And you can't fix an operating system problem with willpower any more than you can fix a software bug by trying harder. You need system-level changes, automation, environmental design, intentional constraints, accurate data, clear definitions. The people who feel financially secure aren't the people who earn the most. They're the people who've built systems that neutralize the psychological traps that make earning more feel like earning the same. They automated before adaptation could kick in. They controlled their reference group before comparison could distort their perception. They defined enough before more could become their default setting. You can earn $50,000 and feel like it's enough. You can earn $500,000 and feel like it's not. The difference isn't the paycheck, it's the psychological architecture around the paycheck. And that architecture? You can build it, starting now. Starting with one mechanism. Pick the one that resonated most. The automation, the tracking, the ceiling, the reference group curation, the definition of enough. Just one. Implement it this week. Make it automatic. And watch what happens when you stop trying to earn your way to satisfaction and start engineering it instead. Because here's the truth, nobody in personal finance wants to say out loud, no amount of money will ever feel like enough if your brain is running unchecked. But almost any amount of money can feel like plenty once you understand the system and build around it. You're not broke. You're not bad with money. You're not failing. You're running sophisticated survival software in an environment it was never built for. And the moment you see that clearly, the moment you stop blaming the paycheck and start redesigning the system around it, everything changes. If this shifted how you're thinking about your finances, drop a comment and tell me which mechanism you're implementing first. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the financial content that actually changes your life isn't the loud stuff about market crashes and get-rich-quick schemes. It's the quiet stuff about how your brain works and how to make it work for you instead of against you. That's what we do here, and we're just getting started.